Hello, everybody, and welcome to tonight's video, morning's video, or whenever you watch a video. I don't expect anyone to really click on this video. I don't expect anyone to really watch it, but this is a video I want to make mainly for myself, and also maybe someone out there could learn or cope with the year after. As you can probably tell from the title of the video, is about someone who at the time this video comes out, someone passed that was very close to me about a year ago. Actually, it's exactly a year when this video releases. So if you're watching this anytime after the 25th of January, 2025, the day's already passed. But when I release this video, it will have been at 1:43 a.m., January 25th, 2025, which is the time this person passed. Person in question, someone I've had in my life, for 30, guess technically 32 years, 31 years, but 32, because they passed 3 months before my birthday, my 32nd. And loss is the loss at the beginning didn't really hit. It doesn't hit. It really doesn't. And one of my friends that were around me, they told me that it would take one person, like that one person, before it hit me. And it never did. It wasn't just one person. Like, I had moments where I was breaking down because of someone who texted me. Maybe that was it. That was the one person. But I I was told, like, my one friend, she told me that it would be that one person, and when you see that person, you'll break. I thought I knew who that person was. Um, it was more of when he texted me after finding out, and then was like, "Yo, we need to hang out. Like, you can't. We need to hang out so you have something to do, not think about it." That got me a little bit. But so I'll rewind here a bit to the day. So it started in December of 23. And the person in question that had passed away is my grandmother. Like I said, she was in my I was fortunate enough to have her in my life for 31, 32 years. Not everyone is lucky to have their grandmother live that long, but she was in my life for that long. Uh I remember getting a phone call. It was like early December. I remember getting a phone call. She was like, "Hey, she wasn't feeling good, but she was still like totally fine. But she was complaining about her back hurting. She's like, should I go to the hospital for it?" And me being me, I was like, I mean, that's totally up to you. Like, you make that decision. Like, I can't make that decision for you. But if your back hurts that badly, maybe you should like at least go get checked out. Make sure you're totally fine. But she called her doctor, and her doctor said, "Hey, like, your back's hurting this bad and you're kind of sick." Like, he was like, two birds, one stone, go to the hospital. Just get checked out, make sure you're fine. Well, I remember getting, I think it was either a phone call or a text from my mom or uncle saying, "Hey, like, we're taking grandma to the hospital. Like, her back is really hurting or she was really sick," or something like that. Which I don't remember her being sick before she went to the hospital, but her back hurt her pretty badly. So took her to the hospital. I went there after work, there till like 3, 4 in the morning when they admitted her because they found out that she had pneumonia. I forget what type of pneumonia. Um, but it was, I forget what type of pneumonia it was, but she had pneumonia, so they admitted her. And when she went in, she was totally coherent. She could speak with you like she knew who you were. I mean, yeah, she had a little bit of dementia going on, but when we get older, who doesn't forget things time to time? I forget shit from time to time. But I remember like, all right, I'm gonna spend the night at my mom's because I was already down there. And even though it's only like a 15-minute drive from where my mom was living to where I live here, I decided it's 4 in the morning or 4:30, 5 in the morning. I don't want to drive all the way home. I'll just crash the night. It's whatever. And because of COVID, no one was allowed to stay at the hospital anymore. Like no one could stay overnight, which my mom always would. And my grandma had been in the hospital since like 2017, 2018, something like that. So, and my grandmother, she threw a fit, especially when she realized she was being left at the hospital alone overnight. She didn't like it. She never liked being alone. So she went in the hospital. Next day we go in, and over the course of like the next few weeks, it's just, you just saw her go from being like completely awake to just sleeping, disoriented, didn't know who she was, didn't know who we were at times. We tried waking her up. She wouldn't respond. And it was kind of hard to see that, especially seeing her going from being like awake, coherent to just not being aware of her surroundings anymore. And when she was awake, it was just constantly like, I want to go home. Like, I don't want to be here anymore. She just wanted to go home. It's, understandable. Like, she wanted to go home. And the portion, I don't blame the entire hospital. Because I know she was on a new floor of this hospital, and I'm not going to name the hospital. But the staff that was on this floor were fucking horrible. Like, horrible people. We're pretty sure they were mistreating my grandmother. Almost certain they were. And we're pretty sure they were giving her shit that she didn't actually need. Because a lot of the staff there were, I'm kind of assuming were new. And like at one point there was a doctor that came in, and they said they had to do a MRI or some type of test on my grandmother. And my mom said, like, at the time, this is like after a couple days, where we're like, yo, what are you guys giving her? Like, what are you doing? And they wouldn't tell us. And so my mom was like, no, like, I'm not okaying you to do something till you tell me what's going on. And the doctor looked at my mom and was like, are you the head of estate? And I was like, no, I'm not head of estate, but I'm her daughter. Well, if the head of the estate's not here and no one's ahead of her estate, her life is in our hands, we'll do what we want. Well, hold on, I can find it while I'm still trying to explain this. Actually, the great thing about YouTube, I can just cut it and go find it. So my grandma had to go into a breathing apparatus. Pretty much she had, like one for sleep apnea, but it's like a CPAP machine because she had bad lungs from years of smoking. So my mom, when she went and saw she was on it again, and apparently my grandmother started wheezing. And my mom said something, she sounds horrible, this and that. Oh, no. All right, let me read this. She was on the breathing apparatus again, and then she started wheezing, and then comes in. This is the doctor that comes in saying she sounds horrible, this, that, and the third. And they should put her on morphine. And my mom was, told her, like, no, we don't want her any more drugs. We just want to find out, like, what's going on. Like, why is, like, it sounds like she's not getting better. And my grandmother had COPD. So, breathing was kind of annoying. So with pneumonia and COPD, it makes it worse. Apparently she had a walking pneumonia. Apparently that's what I'm reading here. Low dosage. I'm trying to find the part where phlegm, she's wheezing. So, she's still steroids, breathing treatments to get her through because she needs. Okay. Yeah. But this is what my mom had texted us saying, doctor said something to the extent of who is the power of attorney. Otherwise they can decide her fate. Which, like I said, I don't think that hospital was not the hospital itself, but I don't think people on that floor were 100% on being. I think they were new. It's just that I think they were all new people, almost all new on that floor. So yeah, after we got like that type of shit, we were pretty adamant in getting her the hell out. Eventually they moved her to another floor, and they moved her to just outside the ICU. So like this is a room where people who are in the ICU left ICU, and it's like the pre-ICU in case they had to go back in there. And when they got her down to this floor, they moved her to a different room. The people who are on this floor are like, why is she here? Like, we don't, even people on another floor are like, why is she down here? Like, everything we're looking at. And they were even like, why is she on all this medication for pneumonia? Like, it doesn't make sense. Which even at that point, we were all kind of like, what the hell were they doing to her up in that room? So she eventually unfortunately spent the Christmas there. And they moved her out of that room like during the following day because she didn't need to be in there. I think she was moved over to the third floor, which was a better room, definitely better than what she was. And she spent the rest of her time there. The nurses that were on this floor were amazing. The doctors on this floor were amazing. They spoke with us, told us everything going on. So eventually she, was let go. She could leave. And when the day she was leaving, I remember her looking at me saying like, hey, like, should I leave or should I like stay here? And I looked at her and I said, like, Ground, it's your decision. Like if you want to go home, then let's go home. Like, it's fine. We can go home. If you say you're feeling better, the doctors say you seem to be doing better. Like, come on. So she got loaded up that day. I forget what day it was. It was before New Year's. I think this is like the 28th, 29th of December. So we got her loaded up in my uncle's van, drove her home, got her inside, got her onto, because they gave us like a hospital bed for the house or the apartment they were living in. And, yeah. And she, even when she got home, she deteriorated faster. And it was just like a left field hit. Like, she got home and she was bedridden. Like, she was just done. She barely moved. She couldn't go to the, a little TMI, but she couldn't go to the bathroom anymore on her own. Like, it got bad. So, obviously, fast forward, spoke to her on New Year's Eve, told her I loved her. But fast forward to 20th, not 20th, the night of the 19th. I get a text from my one uncle, and he says, "Hey, like, you need to come home. Like, Grandma's not doing good." Now, when I'm recording this, it's the 21st. So, if we're going this time last year, she's still in the hospital, and technically alive. But I remember driving there back to my mom's, and I remember opening up the door, and the first thing I could hear was her breathing. And as soon as I heard her breathing rattling, I just knew. Like, if anyone that's watching this, I keep looking at my monitor thinking that's where my camera is, but it's not. I just see me and I want to look at it. But anyone that's actually watching this has been around someone that pass away, like in their last moments, you know the sound I'm talking about, the death rattle. I always thought it was something like, yeah, it's just something people say, just be like, you don't want to be there when someone passes. But my grandmother was technically on her deathbed, and I went home. She was still there. She was coherent to everyone that was around her, but she wasn't coherent to us. Like, we were all around her. We're like, hey, do you know your name? She knew her own name, and she knew all of us, but there were other people there. She was calling out for her siblings who were passed away. And when I was like hearing that, I kind of walked over to our kitchen, and I think it was my youngest uncle. So I'm not going to put names out there. Like, you guys know who I am. My family doesn't need to be fucking known. But I walked out to the kitchen. I think it was my uncle, the youngest one, came out to me, and he was asking me like, "Where's my mom?" And they're like, "What should we do? Like, what should we do? Should we call an ambulance?" And I was just kind of like, Why ask me? Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know this situation. Like, I'm scared." So I finally I was like, let's just call an ambulance, get her back to the hospital. Like, if anyone can save her, it's the hospital. Called 911. Got my grandmother. We asked them when we called to not play the sirens, like lights, whatever. But we asked them if they could, when they come up, like not have sirens on or lights or anything like that, which they did. Like, we appreciate that so much. They didn't make a big spectacle on us. So when they finally showed up, like, I remember them, taking up the cover that was covering the mattress, huffing up my grandmother, putting her on the gurney, and as she's on the gurney, she's looking at the four of us, me and my mom, both uncles. And I just remember watching her go towards the front door, and like standing in this living room, you go like kind of like how this is, like how my back wall here is with my door. So if I'm standing over here by this wall behind me, like it goes here and then turns to the front door. Um Pretty much as soon as she turned that corner, that was the last she saw of us. Um we all got ready. I went out to my car. My mom went to my youngest uncle's car. I'm going to say uncle 1 for the oldest, uncle 2 for the youngest. And me and my second uncle, youngest uncle, the second uncle, we're like sitting here like, what's taking so long? Like, why haven't they left yet? Like, what's going on? But eventually, like, they backed up and they took off. Well, I rushed after the ambulance, which I shouldn't have. I should have waited a moment and then drove. I didn't. So when I pulled up to the hospital, parked, my second uncle took off, jumped out of my car and went. And I remember watching him run up to where the ambulance parked to bring her in. And then as I got out, locked my car, he goes like, "Hey, like, she's got a fucking tube in her throat. Like, there's a fucking tube down her throat." And I remember my one friend telling me, like, because she had someone who passed years ago. She's like, she was telling me the whole time she was in the hospital the first time, like, she ain't got a tube down her throat. She's going to be fine. She ain't got a tube down her throat. She's fine. She ain't going to pass. She was like, if she has a tube down her throat, then it's worst case. And as soon as I heard there's a tube down her throat, I was like, that's fucking it. Immediately, I was like, that's it. She's going. So after we're sitting in the ER waiting room, eventually they bring us back and we see her. She's out cold, heart's still going, but she has a tube down her throat. And they tell us that when they got into an ambulance, she lost consciousness and flatlined. They got her to come back. They got a tube down her throat. And there's blood on her face. And we're like, why the fuck is there blood? And they said from the tube, like when they get the tube down, sometimes blood comes up because it scrapes as it goes down sometimes. And they're like, it's not that bad blood. It's just, it happens. So they brought her back and they said, we're going to get her up to the ICU and they're going to try everything they can to save her. But even when the doctor came in, they're like, hey, like, this is going to be touch and go. Like, I'm not giving you a definite. Like, they said there's a higher chance now that she's here that she's not making it. I was kind of just the only one standing there, like, flat faced, like, not showing emotion. Because I'll be honest, I was already expecting it. especially after when my grandma was in the hospital the first time. There was a chance she could have passed away from getting a stent at the time. I already had my nightmares of losing her and everything. So at this point, I had already kind of mourned, kind of morbid way of saying it, but I did kind of mourn. um, so they got her up to the ICU. Obviously, went home. There's not much else we can do. My mom went there the next day. I think I went with her too, or I went to work. I don't remember. I think I went to work, and I remember going up after work, and she was lying there, unconscious. They pretty much medically induced her. They put her in a medically induced coma, even though she had lost consciousness prior. And that was the whole thing throughout this. Her left arm, actually from like her hand down to her elbow, turned purple over this course of these next 5 days. Well, technically, course the next 4 days. And near the end, near the final day, they were like, "Hey, like, if she wakes back up and survives this, like, she's gonna have to lose her left arm because the left arm's dead." And we knew that would that would kill her. Like to go from she was just awake with two arms to no, to only her right arm. And at that point, like she never wanted to go into a home. So, and we said, no homes. Like she ain't going into a home. She didn't want it. No matter what, she did not want to go into a home. That was her wish. And we were going to honor it. So, when we knew like if they cut off her arm, they were going to put her in a home no matter what, against her will. They were going to do it automatically. We just knew they were. But, she started swelling, like becoming a human fucking balloon. And they needed to do a dialysis machine. I believe that's what it was. Anyway, I digress. Where was I? Right. They were doing a dialysis machine. And I remember like them talking about it, and my uncle just said, "Yeah, go ahead, do it, like whatever we can," because her kidneys were failing, her organs were starting to shut down, which was another sign she was unfortunately passing. But once we got the call that like, because we didn't get the call, I got a phone call because for some reason they kept calling my phone, even though we told them like, don't call my phone. Like I'm not, like I don't, like this is the number you call, but they kept calling me to get a hold of my first uncle. So I we were in the hospital. We were like on the floor walking towards the ICU. And they were only allowing like one or two people in at a time, if I remember correctly. I think it was two people at a time. No, it was one at a time. Because it would be me and my second uncle, or me and my mom, me and my first uncle just sitting in there in the waiting room waiting just outside the ICU. But I get a phone call as I'm walking up, and they're like, "Hey, is this da da da?" I was like, "No, this is Chris. Like, that's my uncle though. Like, how can I help you? Like, what's going on?" And the lady on the phone was like, "Are you like on your way?" I was like, "We're already here. We're on the floor." She's like, "Good. Like, all of you come in. Like, you all just need to come in now." And my second uncle was there. He goes, "What?" And he was like, that was the nurse here. Just everyone go in. Everyone go in. Like she said, everyone go in." And we all went in. And that as we walk in, we see a bunch of nurses and doctors walking out of her room. And as we walk in, they say, like, we put her on dialysis and she crashed. So dialysis didn't work, unfortunately. And they were like, we want to, now this is the 24th. They said, we want to try in the morning. We'll try again in the morning. We'll give her body time to recover. But we'll try again in the morning. At this point, she is swelled up like a damn balloon. And that's because she was blowing up because her kidneys wasn't processing any waste, pee and poop. So nurse comes in and it was a grief counselor nurse, and starts talking to us about the end. And my grandmother she didn't have a DNR. My family wanted to resuscitate her, but thankfully, like I was like on the house of like, dude, she goes, like that's it. We should just let go. Because I didn't want her to suffer anymore. Like she was already suffering enough. Like if she passes, let her pass. So like my whole family like looked at me. They're like, well, after she talked to us, and they're like, what should we do? Because she was telling us how like if they resuscitate her, like they could break bones. They break bones. She's gonna be in pain for the rest of her life. How much time she had left. Like, and even I was like, I don't want her to suffer anymore. And I told him, I was like, we should consider pulling the plug. Because she was already living off of machines. She wasn't breathing on her own. She was breathing because of a machine. And it was at that point, like the nurse said to like me and my family, there, she was like, we've had her on medicine to keep her in a coma, a medically induced coma. And, she hasn't woken up. Like they took her off of it hours prior to do dialysis, and she hasn't woken up. And they're like, if she hasn't woken up, she ain't there anymore. And I already kind of knew that. So we told them that we want to get her last rites done. We're all Catholic. So we sat there for a good couple hours waiting for the priest that was supposed to be on duty to come up and do it. And he never showed. So around like 10:30, 10:50, we were like, hey, look, we're just going to go home. Because they were going to try dialysis again. Like they did want to try it again, but they're like, worst case scenario, be ready. And we're like, yeah, we got it. So I got back home around 11, which I stayed the whole time at my mom's. Changed into my clothes to go to bed. And as I'm laying on this mattress on the floor, because my room was turned into a entertainment room, I hear my second uncle's phone ring. And then all I hear is like, all right, I'll get the troops together. And I even knew when that phone rang, I was like, as soon as I heard that phone ring, my first thought in my brain was, all right, here we go. This is it. So we got everyone in the car. It was just me, both uncles. My mom was going to stay the night, but so drove us over to the hospital. And the whole time I'm driving over there, I'm like, this is my last drive over here. Like, it's the last time I'm going to see my grandmother. So, sorry if I start crying, because, this is not really fresh anymore, but like I said, it's someone close to you that you love passes away. It's hard. But drove all the way back to the hospital, and we got stopped by security. And they're like, you can't come in, like visiting hours are over. And we looked at them and said, like, we ain't here to visit. We're saying our goodbyes. And like me and my uncles were like, well, mainly my second uncle, he was freaking. He's like he's screaming at them, like, my fucking mother is upstairs dying right now. And you want me to fucking wait? Like, are you fucking kidding me? And eventually my mom came down with another security officer. And the security officer was like, no, like they are here because their loved one is passing away. Like, let them fucking through. And they were trying to give us the visitor bracelets and shit, and they were like, no, we don't care. We're just going. So we got upstairs, talked to the doctor. But we went upstairs, talked to the doctor. And doctor was saying, like, I think she crashed again while we were gone, and that's where they were like, she ain't making it. So we asked, they pulled a priest from one of the churches that we used to go to, and he came in, gave her last rites, and then they started pulling everything. Lots of tube come out, all that. And the nurse was like, it sometimes takes instant, or sometimes it's a couple minutes after. Um, I couldn't be there. I left the room. Um, my mom stayed back because she was there. Me and both my uncles went into the waiting room just outside the ICU. I don't regret not being there because it's not something I wanted to say. And um, I remember being in the ICU waiting room. My second uncle, he got up. He was like, "I'm going in." Like, three of us didn't really want to, but he got up, walked over, went in there. And after a few minutes after him, I was like, fuck it. I'm going in. Like, I'm just gonna go in. I stood up, walked over to the door, and as soon as I walked in, I see my second uncle, and he just and words came out of my mouth. I was like, "Is she gone?" He goes, "Yeah, she's gone." So I turned the corner. I see her laying there. Obviously, monitors all off. During that, and then obviously once it finally happened, told her again, kissed her on the forehead, held her hand one last time, and left. I remember walking out of her hospital room and taking one last look back at her body, and then I left. Um, before before she actually passed, like when we were all standing there and they were taking everything out, the head nurse who was there, she gave us two necklaces. So the one necklace is hanging in my car, which I'll probably put a picture up somewhere up here. And there should be pictures constantly going through, maybe of my grandmother, maybe me, my grandmother, and my family. But so it's a white heart, which, like I said, it should be up here. You'll see it, but it's a little white. I think it's a stone heart, like a marble little heart, and it was a two-piece necklace. So the heart I have, which is actually in my car, hangs on my rear view mirror, goes inside of another heart, and they gave us two of these. I got one, and my first uncle got one. And the open heart that these hearts go into are with her. We had her cremated because burying someone's fucking expensive as all hell. Even in death, you still get charged a shit ton of money for it. And then it was at believe it was 1:43 a.m. on January 25th, she passed away. So after that, obviously the whole first day after someone passing, you're just getting their shit together, getting death certificates, closing out accounts, doing all shit like that, getting the cremation set up, going to the funeral home, getting all that set up. Like, that was our entire first day. I still remember the one thing that still like tears me up, excuse me, is my mom. So the night before we went back, she was outside. My mom's a smoker, smoking, and I remember her saying like she's not supposed to leave me yet. Like, she was bawling her eyes out, and that was one thing that really fucking broke me. But thankfully, hopefully I didn't show it. I held my mom at that point when she said that, and went in, did all of it. It's still hard to believe that she's gone. I still miss her to death. I had a moment. It was like a month after she had passed. I forget what it was at this fucking point. I think it was someone else had passed away of a show she used to watch. And I remember thinking like, "Oh shit, I'm gonna call grandma. I'm gonna tell her this." And then like right when I was about like right when I said that, I was like, "Oh right, she's not here anymore. She's gone." And it sucks. Like I went. I'm kind of still numb. Thankfully, everyone in my family had people. We have people around us. My friends were with me every step of the way at that point. My friends were even there with me and my family. Like, because this will be on Low Rollers. And Lou, I called up. I think I called Sarah. She was like the first person I called. Yeah, she was the first person I called. And I told her, I was like, my grandmom's gone. She's gone. Like, she just passed. I asked if they could come up. She couldn't because she had her daughter. But Lou came up. He hung out with me and my second uncle for a little bit. After that point, we took it one step at a time, one day at a time. Don't fucking turn off on me, computer. Took it one day at a time, which is about all you can do. When you lose a loved one, you if you have people around, everyone has someone in their life. They have friends. Like, don't just try to lock yourself away. It's the easiest thing to do. Trust me, I know. But don't be with your family, get things settled, and deal with everything with your family. Because your family's gonna need you're gonna need each other during this time. And then when it comes to your friends, like your friends are gonna want to be there with you. Go out with your friends. Some like three of my friends, like Sean, Jared, and Cole, they immediately were like, "We're going to fucking round one. That's it. Like hands down, we're going to round one." And it wasn't just Sean, Jared, and Cole that went. Sarah and Lou came. Kayla came with us, and it was a fun night. Um, Hopefully this story, I don't know how it would help someone. For me, this is just a way for me to cope about it because it's been 1 year. I still remember a lot of what happened. I still think the best advice is be with your family, but also be with your friends because they will help get your mind off of it. If you're the type of person where it hasn't hit you, you don't think it's going to hit you. It will at some point. It 100% will. The last time I talked about this, which was for low rollers, I bawled my fucking eyes out talking about it. This time I'm kind of fine. In tears like twice now, but didn't full on cry. Um, but yeah, treasure everyone that's with you because life on this fucking planet isn't guaranteed. You never know what tomorrow's gonna bring. Hell, tomorrow I could wake up, walk down my steps, slip and break my neck. You don't know what the hell can happen. Tomorrow is not promise, but today, right now, is the gift. So enjoy the presence. Ugh. Enjoy the present because tomorrow ain't granted. Ain't guaranteed. Whatever. I had something cool and then I fucked it up. Look at that. That's typical Doc fashion. Love everyone that's around you. Don't take time for granted. I wish I could have one more phone call with her. Tell her I love her. Tell her I miss her. That we're doing fine. It took a while, but we're doing fine now. I mean, I'm doing the best I can, but my family's from where they were this time last year. I think they're in a better place. They're, you know, able to have money better now. One thing that still comes to my mind is I remember, I think I was in middle school, and one of my second uncle's friends were over, and I remember him saying to me, like, I think I did something that I got in an argument with my grandmother over. And I remember her saying, remember him saying, like, you're, I think I was like 14, 15. He's like, you're very lucky. You still got your grandmother. Like, don't, don't take it for, like I just said, don't take it for granted. You don't know how much longer you have her for. Love her while she's here. And I did. I still remember when I moved out to not here first, but to my Sarah and Lou's house when they first lived down here, up here. And then when I moved out again to come here, she was always like, you should come home. Like, don't you miss being here? Like, I miss having you. I was like, yeah, like, I miss living with you, Grandma, but, I'm an adult. I need to, go out in the world, have my own life, like, face challenges. And it really sucks because one thought I've always had is, now I had this thought after I moved out, and I even had it when I was living with Sarah and Lou after I moved out the first time, is how many times am I going to see someone before they're gone? Like, I could see my mom for 5 more weeks because I go home once a week. I see my mom 5 more times, and that's it. I don't see her ever again. Like, those are the thoughts I have sometimes. And I was having those thoughts around, like, a month or so before she had passed. Definitely after she passed, I went back to church, which I haven't been going every Sunday because one, work, two, sometimes I wake up too late. I don't make it to work. I don't make it to church. I still try to live every day to make her proud. And I know I do. There's even times where I know she's here. It's funny, the title of this video, 1 Year Without You, and I didn't even talk about the year after she was gone. I mean, I think just the year after, it's been hard because there's times where I'm like, I want to talk to her, I want to see her. And technically, I still do. I mean, when I go to my mom's, her ashes are there. We gotta get her an urn because she ain't in an urn. She's still in the box because urns are very expensive. We don't really have that much money. But we plan on getting her an urn, putting her in an urn and burying her. Like, she's still gonna get buried. It's just taking us time. Another thing, it just clicked in my head. There are hotlines to help. I know a lot of people, when they lose a loved one, those unfortunate thoughts come to mind. There are hotlines to help you. Which I'll probably put that number in the comments. It's not worth it. The person who passed wouldn't want you to do that. You know that. I know that. They would want you to live. And coming to that, I remember my second uncle saying that right before she passed, she looked at him and said, like, I don't have much. She even knew herself. She's like, I don't have much time left. You have your whole life ahead of you. Live your life. My grandmother straight up told him, live your life. You're younger. You have your whole life. Don't let me hold you back. Which is true. Your loved ones wouldn't want to see you end everything just because they were gone. They want to see you live. They want to see you prosper. They want to see you be better than them. Remember, it is always, especially when losing a parent, it is our responsibility as the kids to bury our parents. It is never the other way around. I should not have to bury my mother. Nor, in that fact, should I have to be the one. No, I should be the one to bury my mother and my uncles. They should not be the ones to bury me. And that goes for you, for everyone watching. Love the people around you. And I keep repeating myself, and I'm sorry. Just love the people around you. Love life. Live life like it's your last fucking day, because you don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. And life is one giant present. It's one giant gift. So live it. Enjoy it. Because tomorrow's never promised. Thank you everybody for joining. Hope you, I would say enjoy, but it was kind of a somber thing. Anyone that watched who is going through something like this, I hope in some way this might have helped. I don't think it would, but always reach out to the people who are around you, because they will always want to help you. If your friends are your real friends, because I know people talk about all the time, oh, is this really my friend? Real friends will be there for you. They will help you through it, and they will be the shoulder for you to cry on. They'll take you out, get you fucking hammered so you don't remember a fucking thing. And then your family, be there for your family. Be there for anyone. Even be there for your friends when they lose someone. If you know someone who lost someone, be there for them. Like, even right now, stop watching this video. Stop right now. Pause this video. Pick up your phone. Pick your phone up and call your friend or whoever it is that has lost someone in their life. Because I'll tell you right now, they could use you more than you think. So thank you, everybody. Or if you're listening on Spotify, because this is going to go to Low Rollers. I told Lou he can have this, and I'm going to put it on my YouTube channel. But it did help you. I'm glad I could. Thank you for anybody who listened for this long-ass video. I appreciate it, or long-ass podcast. Thank you for listening. I hope it helped. Thank you, everybody. And as always, I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.